All right, so welcome everyone and thanks for joining. Today we're going to go over an overview of the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, also known as OWCP, and what it means for you in your role. So we're going to talk about understanding claims, roles, and best practices. Okay, so by the end of this session, you will have a clear understanding on how OWCP works, what's your responsibilities, and how to avoid those common issues. Okay, so just a objective of what we're going to be covering, and that's understanding what OWCP is, learn the types of claims, to know your role and responsibility, review the claim process, and identify best practices. All right, so basically OWCP, let me move this because it's over there we go. So OWCP exists to support employees who are injured or become ill due to their job. It ensures they receive care and compensation while recovering. And so, in a nutshell, OWCP, it's part of the U.S. Department of Labor. It supports federal employees with work-related injuries and illnesses. It also provides medical care, wage replacement, and rehabilitation. Okay, so that's just some of the benefits that is offered. All right, so OWCP overview trainer. So why OWCP matters? Okay, this process isn't just administrative. It directly impacts employees' well-being and recovery. So doing it right, it makes a big difference. Okay, so it protects employees, it ensures compliance, it reduces delays and errors, and it supports return to work efforts. So basically, there are two main types of claims. Um, Understanding the difference is key to filing correctly. Excuse me. The first type of claim that you can file, again, there's just two types of claims to initiate injury, work injury, and that is the CA1, and that is the traumatic injury, and the CA2, that is for occupational disease. Okay, so for the traumatic injury, and that's filed on Form CA1, and the traumatic injury is something that happens suddenly. It's like a fall or a sudden accident during your shift, right? It can be caused by a specific event. Again, it has to occur within your work shift. And just some examples of those types of incidents that can happen is a slip, or you can trip, or you may fall, or there may be some type of equipment accident, if you're working, if you use any type of tools, machinery, that type of thing, any type of injury that occurs within one work shift. And that's when you would file that CA1 form. All right, and the other form, that's the CA2. And these injuries normally develop gradually, often due to repeated tasks or a environmental exposure. Okay, and this, again, it develops over time and is caused by repeated exposures. For example, a repetitive sprain, exposure to harmful conditions. And sprains are normally what I've seen. So for instance, if you work in the office, this is normally caused by, using your computer. A lot of people get carpal tunnel from using their keyboard, and that can cause a lot of strain. And so that's just one of the examples on what can cause a work injury. Okay, moving on. Okay, so roles and responsibilities. So OWCP works smoothly when everyone understands that role. All right, so let's break this down. Okay, so we have the employee, supervisor, and agency/HR. So for the employee responsibility, the employee role starts the process. So timely reporting is critical. So for the employee, it's very critical for you to report the injury promptly and to complete the required forms and to provide the medical documentations. Okay, so for the supervisor responsibility, is to ensure timely reporting to make sure that once that employee has filled out that form, to make sure that the form is reported in a timely manner, and to also provide guidance and the forms or any additional forms that are needed to be submitted, and also to submit information accurately, because OWCP, Department of Labor, is going to depend on, you know, the employee and the supervisor to provide the correct information. You don't want to accidentally send the wrong social security number or the date of birth. All of that will prevent the employee from receiving their benefits on time and delays with wages and things of that nature. All right, so the agency and HR responsibility. And so the agency and the HR responsibility is to review and submit the claims. The HR representative and the agency, we support management when it comes to these claims. For instance, some managers aren't able, or maybe busy or that type of thing, and they're not able to access certain forms or get to a computer to make adjustments and things of that nature. So we, as the agency and the HR representative, we are there to help managers and the employee as far as making sure that the information is reviewed and submitted. And then we also communicate with OWCP, because a lot of times, once the information is submitted, OWCP may have some questions. Again, just making sure that that information is accurate when we submit it, and then there should not, be any issues up front. But so, yeah, so we communicate with OWCP from start to finish, pretty much during the whole life process of that claim. And then we also track the claim progress. And so again, we pretty much have our hands on these claims until that employee returns back to work or once the claim has been finalized. All right, so the claim process. So this is the basic flow of a claim from start to finish. So the first thing is that the injury occurs. Secondly, you're going to want to report that injury to your supervisor. And also the forms that are submitted is the CA1 or the CA2. We just went over those examples. And OWCP will review it. And then once OWC review that claim, a decision is issued. All right. So Delays in reporting are one of the biggest causes of problems in OWCP claims. So report your injuries immediately. I can't stress that enough, that is, I'm just going to say that's one of the best practices. One of the best practices is for you as the employee to report that injury immediately to your supervisor. All right, so common pitfalls. Okay, these are the most common issues we see, and they are preventable. All right, so late reporting, late reporting is, you waiting maybe 2 months down the road when, that injury is starting to get worse and not better. And then, you want to go and report it to your supervisor. And so at that time, that will be considered a late reporting, but there's more information that I can provide for that type of uh, common pitfall. But for now, we're just going to leave it at that bullet point. So late reporting is a pitfall. Incomplete forms, excuse me, missing medical documentation, and poor communication. Listen, poor communication, you know, when it comes down to your career and your money and the well-being of yourself, you want to make sure that you report everything to your supervisor. Okay, report everything to your supervisor, and I'll just leave it as that. All right, so if you remember nothing else, remember this slide here. These habits make the entire process smoother. So best practices: act quickly, be accurate, keep records organized, and follow up regularly. All right, so let's pause for a quick discussion. Okay, so if an employee reports an injury a week later, what steps should you take? I'll use my Jeopardy voice. Doom, 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 doom. Okay. So what should you do? Always notify your supervisor first. All right, so I would like to open up for any questions. Feel free to share any scenarios or any challenges that you may have experienced. And again, if you don't want to discuss that openly, you can always go to my website, ShaquondaCarter.com, and put in your inquiry, and then I will get right back with you. All right, so to wrap up, OWCP is about supporting employees, and success depends on everyone doing their part correctly and on time. So some key takeaways here are: OWCP supports injured employees. Everyone has a role, from the employee, supervisor, and the agency. And timeliness and accuracy are essential. All right, so, and before I close out, what I want to do is that I want to just have, this is like a bonus. This is like a bonus, what I wanted to add on today's training. And that is my point of contact information there. So if you need any additional information, or if you need some type of consultation, go to my website, ShaquondaCarter.com, and I will definitely get back with you. But something else I wanted to add as a bonus, and what I wanted to stress is that every injured worker has a right to file a claim. Okay, so you have a right as a employee to file a claim. Okay, so an injured worker has a legal right to file a claim for benefits when an injury or illness or occupational disease arises out of the course of employment. So that is your right, okay? So no one should, restrict you or discourage you or interfere, with the employee when it comes down to filing a claim. Because an injured worker is entitled to report the injury, to seek medical treatment, submit supporting medical evidence, and pursue compensation benefits. That is the law. That is the law. And that's also covered under regulations, okay? Because filing a claim, it ensures that that worker has the right and to file a claim. And when you file a claim, that also give the agency the right to evaluate the injury and determine the eligibility for any type of benefits. Okay, so it's a win-win. But you as an employee, you do have the right, you have a legal right to file a claim for benefits when you are injured during the course of your employment. Okay. And then also employees should be informed, and this is when you notify your supervisor and you go through counseling and things like that. So the employee should be informed of their rights and encouraged to file a claim timely if they are suffering some type of work-related injury. All right, so that was my little bonus I wanted to throw in there. So again, I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next training.